Well, good evening, everyone. I would like to just welcome everyone to the fourth Google Hangout here at the Young Pro, Good Pro. And we'd just like to, before we get started here, I'd like to read our Plexus disclaimer, or our Independent Ambassador disclaimer here. It says this video is brought to you by Independent Plexus Ambassadors and is not sponsored by Plexus Worldwide. The Independent Plexus Ambassadors and Plexus Worldwide do not claim to cure, treat, or prevent any disease and take no responsibility for personal actions taken by any viewer. Always consult with your doctor before beginning any diet or exercise program. The participants in this video are not medical professionals and do not know your medical history. Please consult your physician if you are any concerns prior to or during your Plexus journey. The earnings discussed by Independent Plexus Ambassadors are not necessarily representative of the income that any ambassador can or will earn through Plexus compensation plan. The success of an ambassador depends on their skill set, work effort, and desire to succeed. All inspirational testimonies and tips should not be considered medical advice and are not representative of Plexus Worldwide. They are tips, inspiration, and motivation provided to you based solely on the personal result or opinions of the participants. All right, now that we've got that out of the way here, tonight it is my honor to introduce to you guys one of my uplines. She is our youngest Diamond Ambassador with Plexus. So it's my honor and privilege to introduce to you guys 28-year-old Alicen Breaux. All right, Alicen.
Hey, okay, just go.
Yep.
Okay, so I was asked to share my story on this call tonight since I am our youngest diamond, and this is our young group of ambassadors in this group. So let me back up. I'm gonna share my backstory and share where I was before Plexus, and then I'll share with y'all how Plexus has completely changed my life in so many different ways. I could probably sit here for hours and tell y'all how Plexus has changed my life, but I won't do that. I'll make it quick and to the point. So a little bit of a backstory. Not long before I found Plexus, I was in a really bad relationship with a guy that I pretty much stayed in because I had a kid. I had a little boy when I was 20 years old, and literally the next month after I had him, I turned 21. So pretty much the end of my teen years, I was pregnant, and then I had to grow up really fast. And the guy that I had a child with, he was older, but he had different priorities in life, and he was a drug addict. So to say the least, we were living in a pretty bad financial situation. I was working 2 jobs, sometimes 3 jobs, picking up extra jobs just to kind of get by and support my little boy on my own. Well, at that time, he was, of course, in and out of jail. Well, one day my mom came. I lived in a little town called Thibodaux, Louisiana, which is probably about an hour from New Orleans, a little small town. And I was so proud of this place because I had it. It was the first place I was able to get for me and my little boy where I could pay my bills and just, I was doing the best I can. Well, I kind of got really depressed because of what I was putting myself through, the situation I was living in. And so my mom drove to Thibodaux, where I was living, and she said, "This is it. You are leaving. You are coming back to live with me, and that's all there is to it." So she pretty much came and she picked me up from where I was living, packed up all my stuff, and moved me back home with her so that I could get out of the situation I was in. After staying with her for a little while, I was able to get on my feet a little bit, get my own little place, and that's when I met my now husband, Roland. And we got together. We got a place together and so forth. And not long after we got together, Plexus came into my life. My dad, I was just sitting there. Well, I saw a post on Facebook about Plexus, and somebody that I knew was using Plexus, and they lost about 10 pounds in 2 weeks. And I knew that I really wanted to lose weight. I called my weight my baby weight, even though my son was probably 3 or 4 at that time. That's just the easy way to, make an excuse for being overweight still after you have a kid years before. And so I really wanted to lose weight, and I had extra money at the time only because it was April and I had receive my tax refund. So I bought a 14-day supply of Slim Only because I had to lose weight, and I fell in love with the product. One, it tasted good. Most stuff you try for weight loss does not taste good. Slim is really good. And two, I knew that it was realistic and it was something I was going to be able to stick to. And three, I lost about 5 pounds in the first 2 weeks. So normal conversation, talking to my parents, just like normal. I'm telling them about this stuff I'm trying. And my dad actually worked with a guy named Rick Foray. He's the husband of Gina Foray. Gina Foray is a diamond ambassador in my upline. And he says, Alicen, that's that stuff that Gina's selling, and she's doing really good with it. You could really use the financial help. Why don't you do it? Long story short, after that, I didn't want to do it. There was no way that I could risk the little financial cushion I'd had that time because of taxes. There was no way I could pretty much gamble my money, is what my thought process was at that time. And so, of course, my dad says, Alicen, I'll pay for you to sign up. To this day, I know it was God, because my dad knows nothing about network marketing. He knows zero about network marketing. So why he pushed me and volunteered to do that, I mean, the only answer to that has to be that it was God, because there's really no other answer. And so my dad paid for me to sign up. Still at that time, signing up, I still had no idea what was in store for me. I didn't really have a big belief in network marketing. I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew that I liked the product. And selfishly, my thought process was kind of, well, if I get a few of my friends to try this with me, then they're actually going to pay for my product, and that's how I'll be able to stay on the product. So that was pretty much it. I remember posting on Facebook that I had lost the 5 pounds, and from that point forward, it really showed me how much people really wanted to lose weight, because it was like people were knocking down my door to get this stuff that I had because I had lost 5 pounds. And so I remember my first check, and I won't say amounts, but my first check was like way under $100. And it was a big deal to me, because it was enough to cover my water bill. And so at that time, I was like, okay, if I keep sharing and I keep, posting about this on Facebook, maybe something will happen. And so I remember thinking back then, I only had little goals. I never, ever remember looking so far ahead and ever thinking that I would ever be emerald or diamond or anything like that. My thought process was more, okay, well, now I'm making enough to cover my water bill. What if I can make enough to cover my electricity bill? And that was kind of how my goals was to cover my bills, to pay off some of my credit cards. I had 5 maxed out credit cards, not because I was buying shoes and clothes with it, but because that was what was helping me to get by in the tough times. So 10 months, I'll go forward a little bit. So here I am sharing this Plexus stuff on Facebook, and pretty quickly the financial side had changed my life. Because I was able to pay my bills. I was able to slack off on some of the extra work that I was doing. I was able to just kind of have a peace of mind, and I was relaxed, and I just wasn't so overwhelmed by my bills because I was bringing in a little bit of extra money. By month 10 and a half into my business, I've reached a level of emerald. At that time, not long before that, Roland and I had got engaged, and I always make the joke and say he was a smart man. Right before I turned emerald, he asked me to marry him, and so I always laugh about that. But so I turned emerald in February of 2012. So let me tell you, when I started my business, I was 24 years old. I was 24, so I literally feel like I've grown up with with Plexus. So at 10 and a half months, I was the level of emerald. And Roland tells me, we're not married at the time, but he says, you're already making 5 times the monthly income of the job that you're at. You're miserable. They don't treat you well. And he knew that I always had a dream of being able to stay home with Trevor before he started kindergarten, a dream that I never, ever, ever thought was even possible. And so he says, quit your job. So 1 year into my Plexus journey, I decided to do the scariest thing of my life and quit that job. It was this, gosh, I remember being so scared, but I knew that I knew that Plexus was real. And at that time, I just had so much faith in the company, but it was still really hard, you know, when you've always worked, and it was a really big decision. So, but I did it. So May of this year will be 3 years since I quit my job. And I have to say that it was the best decision I ever made, because I absolutely love staying home. I think I'm busier staying home than I ever was when I worked. But we get to do fun stuff that we want to do, like go fishing. And tomorrow we get to go on a field trip with my little boy. And to some people, that's not a big deal. To me, that is one of the biggest blessings of my journey, because I get to do stuff with my kids. Before, if I had to take off of work because my son was sick, he has asthma really bad. If I had to take off of work because he was sick, it's like I was scolded for the next week going to work because I had to take off. So not having to deal with that. So about 6 months after I quit my job, I told my fiance to quit his job because I didn't want to stay home by myself, and the money had increased even more. So ever since then, we've both been home, and we now have a little girl. She's 1 year old. We've got to see every single milestone that she has reached. We got to feed her solid foods together for the first time, and see her walk together for the first time, and do all this stuff together for the first time. It is, I can't even express to y'all how much of a blessing that is, that we're getting to do this together. I always say that we have things, like we have our Plexus Lexus. We were able to build our, not build our home, but buy our dream home that's just right for us in the subdivision where I grew up at. We're able to get a pool, and, you know, and we were able to pay cash for a brand new in-ground pool. We're able to have a boat. We get to go to Maui each year. But even better, we get to do a lot of family stuff. Like we get to go on a cruise in July, and the whole family's going to the Bahamas. So we get to do a lot of fun family stuff without having to stop and say, okay, do we have to pick this vacation over paying a bill, or do I have to pick something else and leave off a bill? So it's a really big financial blessing. As far as the health side, I'm excited to say that I just broke my plateau. I was at a 65-pound loss plateau, which is not a bad plateau to be at, right? 65 pounds. But I was stuck there, and I had kind of gone on an unhealthy little binge where I just wasn't being reasonable with what I was putting in here. And so I got back on track, and now I'm down 67 pounds, and I need to measure again. But my last measurement was several months ago, and I was down 50.5 inches. So I'm really excited about that. I've gone from a size 22 to a size 13, 14. And my goal is I want to probably lose another 30 pounds, and I know that I'm going to get there. So Plexus has pretty much been a huge financial blessing. I've met some of the most amazing people that I've ever met in my entire life through this business. The health side, I'm way healthier now and way better off as far as, you know, my weight loss goals than I ever was before, you know, without Plexus. And I've grown, like I said earlier, I've grown up with Plexus. I've grown so much as a person with this business. I've learned so much, and I've really grown as a person a lot through this business. So that pretty much wraps it up.
Well, thank you very much, Alicen. I have just a couple of things here. What is maybe 3 things that you would maybe tell new ambassadors to do as far as the business side to maybe fast start their Plexus business? Maybe just a couple of tips here that you've done to make your business so successful.
I would say that they need to make sure that they are consistent. That's the biggest thing, and that could probably branch off into 3 things. Meaning consistent, they need to take their products consistently, because that's where their passion's going to come from. If you're not a product of the product, you're not going to have a passion that people can feel for the business and the products. Be consistent with however you choose to work your business, whether it's Facebook, word of mouth, both. However you're doing it, you have to be consistent, meaning daily. Even if you only have 20, 30 minutes a day to work your business, then you need to do that every single day. And Alfred says you could work your business part-time, you could work your business full-time, but you can't work it sometimes. And I think that's absolutely true. People aren't going to take you seriously if if they don't see you being consistent. They're not going to think that you have belief in the products and the company and the opportunity if they don't see you be consistent. Yeah, and to remain positive. That would be another important thing. Remain positive. This business, to be successful, it takes work. If that's what you call it, but it's not hard work. It's just consistent work. Consistent work and staying positive. No matter what, you have to remember that your journey is not going to be perfect, and you shouldn't compare your journey to anybody else because it's your journey. Just keep a positive attitude, because that's what people are attracted to, and that's what's going to keep you from getting overwhelmed. That's what's going to keep you sane, is if you keep a positive attitude through this.
Definitely. Also, Alicen, we know that the Plexus convention is going to be coming up here pretty quickly. We do have some new ambassadors on here. What's maybe one reason why you're going to Plexus convention, and maybe a little bit about why people should definitely go to convention?
So I don't know if y'all saw my picture the other day, but I think our first convention we had like 300 people, and last year we had over 8,000 people. I went to my very first I started in April 2011 and went to my first convention in June of 2011. That was the first ever Plexus convention, and I have to say that convention, and this is tough because we have a lot of awesome trips that we get with Plexus, but out of Maui, out of Leaders Retreat, out of everything, convention is my favorite, because you don't leave convention without feeling inspired and without learning and without really getting to get a good feel of what the culture is, the Plexus culture is. You will leave motivated, you will leave inspired, and I promise you will learn. It's really going to help you take your business to the next level. I definitely say you want to be there if you can at all possible be there. If you have to find somebody to room with, do it. If you have to find 3 people to room with, do it. Bring sleeping bags, bring air mattresses. If you have to get sandwich meat and eat in the room, then do whatever you have to do to get there, because I promise that it will change your business.
Awesome. I'm definitely excited about it and can't wait to meet everybody going to be there. So you've been to Maui a couple of times. What's maybe something that's exciting to do in Maui so people can look forward to getting there one day?
Dude, okay, so I think the most amazing thing, which it sounds so simple, in Maui is just the sunrise and the sunset. Like, it looks like a postcard, literally.
I can't wait to
Yeah, it's so fun. Plexus goes all out with every single one of their trips. Maui's no different. I mean, it's from ice sculptures to luau's to they pay for your rental car. They pay for your suite facing the beach. They just really go all out.
Man, I can't wait to be there. Well, Alicen, do you have anything else for us? Maybe anything else do you want to share real quick? I'll come here and swap here.
No, I think
okay.
That's it.
All right. But thank you very much for being on there, guys. And next week, just be watching for who we're going to have on next week. And like Alicen said, make sure that you guys get to convention. All righty. Thank you so very much for your time tonight, Alicen.
No problem. Thank you for having me on.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Night.
Oh, night.